But you've got the cello and the flute, and the cello's really earthy.
Oh,
It's
I said I must have said the cello's earthy, a dozen times. I'm sure I have it
yeah.
written here too. Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. I'm Andy. That's John over there, and it's another day at the office. So let's dig into some music. John, you're going to be offering up a band, a song for me to go off and listen to. What have you got in store, bud?
We're going back to a band which we looked at the arse end of last year. The New Eves.
Oh, Astrolabe or whatever. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Cool. All right. And this remind me again. This is they're I know they're new. They only have the one album out, so I assume this is off that same album, huh?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
This is
then
a single prior to the album, but it's a standalone song. So it's called Mother. And a very nice thing is that this is a live performance at the Green Man Festival. It's one of the sessions they did there. So you get to see it. This is 2024.
let me go off, give this thing a spin and a watch, and come back and let you know what I think. The thrum of that bass. Okay. I gotta say, I love this musically how they're building this kind of like organically, um, and it does have this kind of, I don't know, closer to earth kind of sound to it. It's all, to me, these kind of sounds evoke nature and natural splendor. Um, I could go without the girl who's had too much fun at a festival and is now dancing around. That's a little cringy to me, but that's really neither here nor there and doesn't have anything to do with the music. Perhaps a little bit the performance, but from a purely music standpoint, I really love the bass, the cello, and this flighty bit of reedy flute injected into it. It all sounds like really intriguing and has this bit of mystique about it as well. All right, good. Yes. Put on the guitar. It's like choppy, rhythmic cello. It's like almost marching along. Okay. It's interesting. She's not really offering much on the guitar, but they are adding these nice little bits of like faint texture to the soundscape. Beautiful voices, and I know that they are really good at harmonizing, and this is another example of that. Having listened to, said Astrolabe, and you heard it there, and you're hearing it here again. It sounds like the flautist is taking on the lead vocal role, while the guitarist slash dancer is providing some really nice higher registered harmonies to complement that. 4 repetitions of my mother, lives inside my house, which is an interesting line. I don't know where they're going to go from here. But yeah, that cello is just absolutely killing it with that, nothing crazy, but just that plodding sound. Again, this is all kind of primitive sounding, which I very much enjoy. It's like darts. Interesting what lyrics I caught there. There were all these allusions to like natural settings or terms that connote nature, which was funny enough. One of the atmospheric vibes I got off this was instantly it sounded to me like closer to the earth. So rivers, was it forests, roots, there were other like even the term like growth in there as well, and I think forest, just all these terms that definitely make you think of natural splendor, and that's kind of exactly what the music, where it was taking me before she so explicitly underscored those lyrics and that choice of words that she implemented, or they, I guess it's a few of them, but it's all really interesting. Let's take that back a little bit and let it play through. Yes, stone. Chanting or something like almost tribal. Here for the first time as well. Bass. Yeah. I really found a lot of that to be really intriguing. I didn't obviously wasn't able to really piece together a really cohesive narrative. I mean, her mother is alluded to several times, but so are all these allusions to different kind of natural settings. You know what I mean, or terms that evoke nature, which I thought is mentioned earlier. It's just really interesting because before the first word, I felt through the music closer to Earth, and there was all of this sort of organic sound going on. Um, it took me to like parts of it felt like the music from Mongolia or parts of Asia, but then also aspects of this made me think of Native American music as well, which is really interesting. And both, I think, cultures' music does make you feel a bit closer. I don't know, to this kind of primordial feeling of being closer to the earth. Um, and that's just the vibe and aesthetic I got from this music. I love how they finally. It's so simple, but just that wrapping of that lower floor tom added even more, along with that the choppy nature of the cello. This sort of, I don't know, processional or like marching kind of forward feel and progression, and I thought that that was really interesting. A lot of the instrumentation in this was really simple, but all of it worked really well together to kind of paint a picture or create this mood and atmosphere that I instantly fell for. So yeah, interesting stuff. I'd love to learn more about what this song is about, perhaps. But it was a great performance, and I really liked the sounds that they kind of tinkered with here, even if it was fairly rudimentary from a just pure like technical music standpoint. Doesn't really have any like negative effect on my experience listening to this. I always thought it was really interesting. Um, but I know John probably has a lot more information on this and maybe some of the whys and hows of what they did here. So let's get back to him and chop it up.
Pardon me. Would you have any Grey Poupon? He's back. So you had to listen to Mother by the New Waves live at the Green Man Festival. What do you think?
Of all the days to not just have my typical jar of mustard here at my desk, I really dropped the ball on that. Damn it! Wanted to faux
I
roll my
just
window
stumbled
down and be
across
like,
the yeah. This is
matter of
weird.
fact, I do. Um, yeah, this was a lot of fun to listen to. Very interesting. First of all, really well shot. All of it was great. The sound quality was there. So kudos to whoever put this together over at the Green Man Festival sessions. And kudos to the band because they all sounded and played lovely. But the performance begins with some terrific cello, flute, and just some of these resonant low bass notes. You hear that cello and you're like, you can't get much lower than that. And then the bass comes in and goes, oh yes, you can. So like these bass notes are just kind of thrumming. The cello's working its way. The violin is kind of, or violin, pardon me. The flute is kind of darting in here and there. And it all sounds really interesting and has this kind of primal sound to it. Instantly, I was it just had this like earthy sound to it, or this like closer to earth sound to it, this organic feel, this natural feel. So instantly I'm getting visages of like, you know, nature and all its splendor because this music is making me feel closer to earth. And like instantly I was thinking of, this is a really, I guess because the cello at times had sounds of almost like that Mongolian throat singing, while there was also shades of Native American music and aspects to what they were doing. I was given this sort of like East meets old West, not old West as in cowboys, but you know, pre-Anglo settlements. And That's an interesting dynamic. I've never thought like to put those two together or to have those two married or to be reminded of those two separate cultures when experiencing any form of art, but I did feel that almost instantly when listening to this. But go on, it looked like you wanted to add something there, John.
It's just so what I remember. I mean, they have a strong pagan vibe to them.
Yeah,
Um,
there you go.
that sort of Earth Mother stuff. And I think when you just that opening, bit, you've got one of them arsing around doing a bit of interpretive dance, and
God, I haven't even
purple.
got there in my notes yet, but you.
Yeah, yeah. But you've got the cello and the flute, and the cello's really earthy.
Oh,
It's
I said I must have said the cello's earthy, a dozen times. I'm sure I had it
yeah.
written here too.
But the flute, where it's floating at the start, and then she starts really, I don't know the technical term, she's almost like spitting the air into it.
Yeah, I kept
But
saying it
the
felt like
first,
darts being thrown. Like,
yeah, but the first bit when it's floating, it kind of almost sounds like cod, um, Asian. There's like a welcome
yeah,
to the palace. Where Simba, Alibaba's going to nick in with his flying carpet stuff.
yeah,
I just got those sort of, which you would get from like a Hollywood film from the 40s or something. That's the music they would play,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it just it's really, really interesting mixture. So that's just what I
No,
wanted
you're
to.
100% right. I got all those same similar vibes where I was somewhere in Asia, vast
Yeah,
land that it is, and also somewhere in the United States, probably 1,000 years ago, listening to like campfire music that was
yeah.
played around a fire, you know what I mean? I got both those vibes, just interesting, really interesting dynamic and thing to feel in real time. Um, but I will say some of that mystique that it felt instantly wilted away when they showed the woman at the mic doing those ridiculous gyrations and interpretive dance moves. Literally, my language. And God, sounds like you and I had a similar experience with this, given what you're saying and what I'm saying. But I've seen so many people at festivals, usually like usually some white folks out there just feeling the music too much, and I instantly get secondhand embarrassment and cringe when I witness that, and I felt a bit of that in this. Not to take anything away from their Mother Gaia and all this stuff that they want to do, and that they, I'm sure, sincerely feel. But I've seen way too many insincere people pull that shit off with a little bit too much of this, that, or the other in their system at a live show, where I've just been like, fuck, God, I'm so embarrassed to be affiliated with all of this. So luckily for me, she soon thereafter crawls towards, then grasps her guitar. So that should keep her occupied, while also further enhancing the soundscape, which it does. Although in a very interesting, also kind of primitive way. She didn't pick this thing up and then just instantly lay down like fucking the opening for Hot for Teacher or anything like that. This was scratches and just textured sounds and also quite faint. So it wasn't even like she came in trying to steal the show. It was just these added bits of sound that I don't know if she played a fucking chord in the whole song. Not that she needed to or that it required it. It's just you don't. That's not something you often stumble into when you see a guitar lifted up and started to be played. Um, so then we get just a little fill from the bass. A couple of these, made their appearances throughout the song, and they sounded really nice. These little movements on the bass that usually suggested segue, and that's exactly what happens as this segues into this choppy bit of bow work on the cello. And some faint scratches on that aforementioned guitar. And I think this is most where it sounded like Mongolian to me, that kind of sound coming from it. It was just, that's my, my best attempt. But I really loved that sound. It was, I don't know, just I could hear like an eagle screaming as it went by the sun as that played. You know what I mean? Um, so then in saunters this flute with these light and airy ascending notes, uh, before this musical motif switches pattern to a very fluttery melody. So at times the flute reminded me of water movement, but it also reminded me, as it probably would most people, the movement of air. So again, I'm feeling very close to Mother Earth when I'm hearing all of these different sounds. Um, so then the flutist lowers her instruments and begins singing, and is soon joined by the guitarist who injects sort of these higher registered bits of harmonization. I think even at one point the cellist kind of takes the lower end of the harmonies, and that's not something that surprised me because I think we got some really good harmonies in Astrolabe as well. And if I recall correctly, these women all share vocal responsibilities to some degree. So it wasn't anything shocking, but it was just further affirmation that these ladies' voices all sound really great together, and they're all quite talented in that regard. They repeat this line, "My mother lives inside my house," a few times, which they then follow up with this really interesting vowel vocalization that also has this super primitive, tribalistic, like ceremonial aspect to it. You know what I mean? Not that I was ever present for one of those, but if I would be, I would have assumed that this is what it would have sounded like. Our maid singer then goes back to populating the soundscape with more of those darting flute notes, then fluttering above that low, earthy, I have written right here, cello and bass. Of course, it was only a matter of time before the vocals joined the mix again. And so our two singers return, this time singing twice this line, proclaiming, "You give me air," and then something about taking your face in my hands and burying it in the snow down roads oh so cold or something like that. And my first inclination is to wonder if these lines are addressed to the titular mother, but I'm also grappling with this whole like it's probably Mother Earth that they're talking about, given the whole vibe of this track. So following the next stanza kind of makes me question the possibility as it kind of explicitly talks about the mother, rather than sort of being written to the mother. So I don't know who this face is that they've taken and put in snow or whatever weird anecdote that was there or scenario. Um, but she sings of her mother having built her body and that her bones are made of stone, which is the first in a series of references that smack of nature. Uh, and she then goes on to reference growth, a river, roots, and a forest. So I really enjoyed all these allusions as they match those primal and earthy vibes I had mentioned from the outset of the song, long before any narrative construction even began. So, hats off to them for creating a sound that took the listener to where you wanted them to end up before you even had to start telling your story literally. So they did a great job of kind of building this mood and atmosphere and painting pictures with just music. Um, so again, followed by more vowel vocalization and harmonies thereof, and then the song transitions to this almost ominous sounding bridge like portion, as for the first time we get some percussions in the form of these low tom thuds, also compliments of the lead singer slash flautist, now slash percussionist, who is keeping the beat on this tom. And that enhances this already existing tribal feeling as well, right? This primitive drum beat that's going on. Then the cellist shines for about 40 seconds or so, and it sounds melancholic and woeful, yet undeniably beautiful in its kind of solemnity. And around, I think, the 420 mark, the bass does this nice little fill again, higher on the neck, which signals the cello returning to that choppy motif from earlier in the track. And soon the vocals return as well. And we get treated to more dual vocals and more of these natural allusions with references to water washing over and both stones and a river growing. This is followed by more of the vowel chanting, and then they repeat the line "my mother" a few times before the song comes to an end and is received appropriately with applause. So yeah, loved the stripped back nature of this song. I love the instrumentation, particularly the cello and the flute, who really shined, and added richness and a bit of mystique to the whole track, as I had mentioned earlier. And the vocalist sounded great. I think that was sort of my main takeaway from Astrolabe as well. So this, I assume, is some sort of ode to Mother Earth. Um, in its own way. And I think that that comes across pretty clearly. Um, I mean, if you just give me the name and let me listen to that intro, I would have eventually landed on the idea that this is of the earth and likely about the earth. And what do we associate from a moniker standpoint with the earth other than this feminine mother type, which has been done across the globe by different cultures forever. So that all rang true to me. But some of the lyrics I did find to be really curious. Again, back to that where the whole thing kind of goes from being about something to being addressed to something or someone with this whole place your face in the snow stanza and stuff like that. So outside of just being about Mother Earth, is there more to this that I didn't catch or that is a bit more subtle that you can kind of help me with? Because I think I missed that.
Yeah, certainly can. So thanks for that, Andy. Yeah, so they're a newish band. They haven't done a lot. There's not a lot to talk about. This is a standalone song, as it were, as well. But I have managed to find an interview or two where they talk a bit about this, more about themselves and about this song in particular and other bits. So I, rather than reinventing the wheel, I'll just read you bits on this because I think it's really insightful.
Okay.
So, as mentioned, we previously came across the New Eves in the Astrolabe episode. I talk more about the band and stuff. So I'll put a link in below to that. Um, I really, that I'd said before that this album, the New Eves, their debut album, was my second favorite of the year, only pips the post by Geese. I really like this. Now, I know it's not for everyone, and there's a fine line between pretension and eccentricity.
Yeah.
I think eccentricity is you're just fucking weird. It doesn't matter if anyone's watching or not.
Yeah.
And I think these people certainly are that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there's always a performative nature about any artist because that's one of the reasons they do it is to perform. So you can say that that's one of my bugbears with theatricals is that I don't have that suspension of disbelief. In the theatre that I do in other forms of I can see the wires as it were, and so when they're being big, and I know why you have to do it and everything, and it is enjoyable, but it just doesn't quite do it. Um, so there's always these people who act in a certain way, and there's some performers that we know and love that are completely different off stage, but I suspect these lot are uh, mad as a French window
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
and off the
Truly,
stage.
genuinely weird.
And all power to them for it as well. I think they're excellent. So I really, really enjoy this. And it was nice to see them live as well. There's a certain dynamic with them, and it's really good. So just a reminder of the personnel: Nina Winder Lint on cello, and as you alluded to, they all do vocals. Um, Kate, a major bass guitar. Um, Ella Una Russell, flute, drums, and Violet Farah, guitar, violin, etc. So this was released as a single. Original Sing was one track, and Mother the other. Wasn't released in a physical form. No, I don't think it was. Which it's certainly not on vinyl, which pisses me off. July 2023. Um, prior to the album obviously coming out. So I think it's their first release. Must be pretty close to the first release, if not their first. So I managed to come across a website interview. The website's called Still Listening, and they chatted with the band, sometimes as a collective, sometimes individuals, and I've sort of summarized it down. So they asked the first question: what inspired the song Mother? And the band answered, when we wrote Mother, was when we found our sound. It was the first song that we birthed collectively and conjured the spirits, which is at the core of the New Eves. During a jam, Ella spontaneously started singing the words, My mother lives inside my house, which inspired Kate to write lyrics based on the physical and metaphysical links between mother and child and the landscapes within our bodies and the world around us. Um, Kate, it started as a jam session. Ella started saying, My mother lives inside my house. Ella, I wasn't singing it with the intention of using it at first. It wasn't serious, but it ended up sparking something. Kate, at the time, I was reading something about the connection between mothers and babies from the womb. There is an exchange of cells that goes both ways, so the baby actually gives back to the mother. When Ella started singing My Mother Lives Inside My House, I resonated with it so deeply I had to write about it. I was also really inspired by a book called Underland by Robert Macfarlane. We all then contributed to the lyrics. Ella. We do a lot of collective writing, which is really nice as everyone gets to shine in their own way. Um, Still listening. Your live performances are known for their powerful communal bond and unanimous force. How do you cultivate this energy on stage, and what can audience expect from a New Eve's live show? And the band say, for us performing live, it's a ritualistic experience. It's hard to say where this comes from. As for us, it's so natural. We've always got each other's backs and we give each other space for expression without shame, hence the dancing. This leads to a lot of improvisation and connection with the audiences within our shows. There is this theatrical element, but we also have a very strong messages we want to convey with our music, and brings a warrior-like energy into the room. A New Eve show is like a ceremonial volcanic eruption. And the website asks, your band members come from diverse artistic backgrounds, including painting, dancing, writing, and photography. How do these artistic disciplines intersect with your music, and how they influence your creative process? The band say, we each have our own creative universes, and the band allows us to bring these worlds together. The New Eves is a meeting point of all the elements you mentioned and more. It inspires us to make art and share over many mediums. It's almost turning into an academic research project. We're making a zine. Kate's just written an essay on cyborg feminism. We wrote a song about the beginning of the universe. We are out of control. We are excited to keep collaborating with our authors and keep this band as a platform to creatively explore. And I said the band's formation began in 2021 during a jam session in the studio under a railway. Can you tell us more about that initial meeting and how the New Eves came to be? And the band say the band actually started on a bed, Violet's bed to be more specific. We were lying on it and talking about how we all wanted to be in a band when someone realised we totally could be a band. It was very unplanned, but it was very powerful because we decided to create an opportunity together rather than waiting for one. The New Eves wanted to be born. So just a note about the where they're performing. The Green Man Festival, you probably haven't heard of it. It's an independent music, science and arts festival held annually in mid-August in the Brecon Beacons in Wales. It was founded by Joe Bartlett and Danny Hagan as a 300-person one-day event at, forgive my pronunciation here, Craig y Nos Castle in Brecon in 2003. And it has since evolved into a 25,000 capacity week-long event showcasing predominantly live music, in particular alternative indie, rock, folk, dance, and Americana. And from that sprung the Green Man Trust, which is a charitable wing of the festival, and its aim is to create art development projects, programs, training opportunities, science engagement, and bring about positive change in Welsh communities. As of 2020, it has provided 92 community grants, supported more than 5,000 emerging artists, trained over 2,000 people, and funded more than 200 science projects. So worthy stuff. The lyrics, my mother lives inside my house. All times. Oh, again and again. You give me air, you give me air, and I take your face in my hands. I bury it in the snow, down roads oh so cold. My mother built my body, and my bones are made of stone. She still lives here with me, and I save her as I grow. A river runs between us, each layers left behind. The roots I left within you feed the forests of my mind. Oh, and then the drums begin, as you say, cello solo. The water washes over, the stones are growing strong. Thoughts close and rivers grow, an all immense song. Oh, my mother, 4 times. So just a little insight into the band. They have the stupid questions at the end of the interview. So they asked, what do you love right now? And the answers weren't sort of assigned to different people, but I can guess. And the answers were pickles, leaving England, knitting, compost, harmonicas, doo-wop, cyborg feminism, big clue there, the Moomins, hummingbird moths, and the Shangri-La's hot sauce and cherries. So there you go. Name an album that you're still listening to from when you were younger and why it's still important to you. And Nina says, I remember putting out Patti Smith's Easter from my parents' record shelf when I was little. She put a spell on me. Everything about that album has stuck with me ever since. Ella, it's hard to choose, but a classic would be Sergeant Pepper's. I would listen to the Beatles a lot when I was playing by myself as a kid. I used to have this weird ritual of putting on some music and climbing in my wardrobe where it was completely dark so I could let my daydreams and imagination take over. It feels super nostalgic for those strange worlds I would conjure up. Um, Violet, Bleach is a big one. I remember the first time I saw a picture of Kurt Cobain. I felt he was mine somehow, that we must be related with our blonde hair and blue eyes. Still feel that love buzz. Screaming is good. And Kate, I can't pick an album, but I would definitely have to say the White Stripes. I remember how excited I was by their music. I was completely obsessed. I can still feel that excitement now. When I dance around my room listening to them, the 12-year-old Kate's dancing too.
Oh.
And their final question. As a band, what do you hope listeners will take away from your music? What messages or emotions do you strive to convey through your songs? And they answered, we hope that it brings a wilderness back to people's lives. We hope that it makes people feel the rain when it rains, to get angry if they need to get angry, and remember that they are human animals. So yeah, interesting bunch of ladies.
Yeah,
I,
yeah. What's interesting too is like this this the Green Man Sessions sounds like the perfect place or
yeah,
named place for a song and a group like this, who, as you stated, clearly are rooted in like paganism and things like that. The Green Man might be the from
yeah,
an iconography standpoint, the first thing that comes to mind when you
yeah.
think of paganism. So all of that makes perfect sense. The from I but I'm flexing probably a pretty weak muscle as it relates to my familiarity with English paganism or British paganism. Um, is that something that now resides in pockets or geographic areas or flourishes in those places in England? Or is this something where it's kind of universal? Because I know these guys are like from Brighton, right? Like, are there other, is that a pocket that is hyper aware and very in tune with the pagan roots of the islands? Or is that just, it can happen anywhere? These places are all kind of aware of that and in tune with that part of your history and folklore.
I think it's all over the place.
Okay.
But I think what's happened really is from the I don't know 60s onwards is this revisionist nostalgia for our weird practices from yesteryear, and
Yeah.
so we you get all sorts of festivals and things going. And I produced a list that I wanted to participate in or witness before I left this country. And our plan was to go and live in France. It's sort of revised at the moment. So I brought this list of eccentric British things that I'd like to. So first thing I did was go and watch the cheese rolling when they
Right.
shove a cheese down the hill and everyone breaks their neck. I went to the Black Pudding Throwing Festival as well. I There's a Straw Bear Festival near us as well, which I've attended. Um, Also, egg throw world the World Egg Throwing Championships as well was in a field in Lincolnshire. That was hilarious. Um, there's where the weird stuff where they wooden barrels with tar, set them alight and roll them through the streets, and people have to dodge them, and all sorts of weird shit. And then amongst that as well is the pagan rituals as well. I I mean, Stonehenge used to be empty, and I think the last solstice there was 20 odd thousand people, probably more, seeing the sunrise at the summer solstice. So
Mhm.
all these things are coming back, and people are making it into something to celebrate as well.
That's
So yeah, there's pockets of it all over the place, and
yeah.
the sort of history's being brought back in, you know. So it's good to see,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
interesting stuff for sure, especially for an outsider. And you often forget about I like I said, I go to places like America pre, European exploration and other parts of the world like Mongolia where they've been there all these traditions very tribal and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. But I think for some folks, especially over here, and maybe in other parts of the world, you forget or you overlook England, because it's moving along and hustling and bustling and very much part of the Western modern world and on the forefront of, like, technology. Like, and you forget that, yeah, you think castles and, knights and all that shit, but you forget even further back before all that stuff, the ritualistic pagan tendencies and history and lore that's around that place. It's just really interesting for me, as an outsider.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the further you get away, like obviously the top end of Scotland, the Shetlands, all is Wicker Man, all that sort of stuff, that
Yeah,
sort of springs from that. So you get some really interesting practices there as well.
for sure.
But it's just, it's I don't think it's anything to be taken seriously, but I think it's something that's very of interest.
Oh yeah,
And how these,
yeah.
without these, I wouldn't be rushing off to, you know, sacrifice a goat um, or anything, but
Yeah.
each to their own. Um, great. All right. I shall wrap things up. Yeah, just super interesting
Yeah.
sound and band as well. Thanks for listening to this, Andy.
Thank you.
Folks out there, please do slap your BT paw on the like button if you like this and let us know. And drop some comments on what you thought about this. Any other New Eve stuff or any pagan rituals that you've been doing recently
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
may involve live livestock. Yeah, please let us know without incriminating yourself. Um, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Otherwise, we will find you and sacrifice you. Uh, but yeah, please do hop on board. We do appreciate everybody to support the channel in a very healthy and non-ritualistic way. That being said, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.